Revival. I'm in the building.
Let's
go.
Live with the Revival.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yo, that intro gets me hyped.
It's the ending, isn't it? It's the ending.
Oh,
every guy at the end of that intro is like,
It's K.
there she is.
No lie, it could be a playback a million times. You just get lost in the K Adams eyes.
I smile
Sorry.
every time. Smile
She's
every
a
time.
problem. She's a problem. Yeah.
She's a problem. You listen, hey now, that's another show. Peace and blessings to this good boy, Eli Rax, aka Bobs, and welcome to New York Revival, where it's not just sports, it's entertainment. And I'm here with my brothers, man. You guys know who they are, and that's Mr. Glass half full, and that's Speed the Genius.
Hey, he's a big brain.
Big brain. The big brain. This sounds
The big
crazy.
brain.
Explains the
sounds
big head, the big hat.
No,
I do have a big. There's a big brain inside this big head.
No Diddy. That sound crazy just now. And my brother El Jefe, aka White Jersey, aka Blue Jersey, aka El Jefe. Yes, sir.
Cooking.
Mm-hmm.
That
He's
sounds,
cooking.
I got him working on it. I'm working on
He
it. And
cooking.
shout out to you. Yes, you, the Revivalist in the chat. Please hit that thumbs up, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate all the support. We are back on Tuesdays. Did we do a show last Tuesday? I'm trying to remember.
We did.
I
We
think we did, right? It was early.
Oh no.
No, we went out. We went out, man. We went out and got
We did
drunk.
an
It was
afternoon.
like, yes,
Daytime
sir.
show.
Yeah, we did like a recorded show for y'all. It was terrible. But nah, listen, man. Shout out. We're
was
back on
terrible.
Tuesdays. I don't know what the hell, man. Was I even on that one? Probably not. But
We got content out for you guys.
That
Yeah, I was
explains
probably-
why it was terrible. Yeah.
no, it was a great show. It was a great show. It was just my brothers. It was a great show. My bad. That sounds crazy. Just
Yeah, that
But no.
was pretty wild. Yeah.
that was wild. I apologize, gentlemen. But
Some
no,
fucking
we're
nerd.
back on Tuesdays. Of course, we moved it to Wednesday for the HBO Hard Knocks, man. But we're back with you guys, man. It feels good. What's
Back.
the chat looking like? What's going on here? But before we get all of that, guys, let's go around the room because we do have a special guest in the building. Our guy, your guy's going to help us with some fantasy talk. Don't forget our fantasy league is now open. It's now open, man, through Underdog Fantasy. Hef, give him the promo, man. Tell him what's going on. Him with that music too, brother.
Yeah, baby. Promo code Revival Underdog Fantasy. We successfully filled and executed our first best ball draft today. So we
Insane.
filled it up. Every time we fill one up with 12 people, we'll just start it up again. We'll fire it up again and run it back for you. But with code Revival, they'll match half your deposit. So get in there. You put in $100, they'll give you an extra 50, whatever you want to do. But there's all sorts of fun best ball, a lot of money to be made. If you're in New York, you can do pick'ems, parlays, stuff like that. Not available in New Jersey yet, but they'll get there. So we're just doing pick'ems and we're betting through Eli, like everyone else does, right? You know,
Yeah, I'm the plug right now. I just want to let y'all know I'm the plug. You know what I mean? Just come through, Eli. We'll make the bet for you here in New York. But guys, we have special guests in the building. You guys may not know him, but we do. But I have a feeling that most of you do know him.
I think they know.
apparently, a lot of people know.
In
him.
fact, I think 52,000 people and more know this guy.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at
Your
him
guy.
pretending to be.
Now
humble.
he pretends that he's no expert. Oh yeah, he's an expert. Our guy, your guy, Joe Orrico. Round of applause! Round of applause!
Coldest intro of all time. Cold intro, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Listen, man, host of the No Expert Fantasy Pod. Listen, let me tell you, man, you are an expert, brother. I just want to let you know that's why we have you on here. We have nothing but experts here. But man, what's going on? I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us, Joe, man, for the second time, man. How's everything, brother?
Oh, it's all going good. Very happy to be with you guys again. Always love coming on the show, and hopefully we can make some fantasy football moves tonight. So
let's go, man.
Let's
I'm
do
loving
man.
it.
Listen, here we go. Should I even do this? Because we asked this to every guest, and I feel like we need to ask Joe because why not?
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's
Joe
the
is down.
ultimate icebreaker.
all
It's
right,
the ultimate icebreaker here. All right. So tax-free money, by the way. Tax-free money is only 5 minutes of your time. These are the stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it is broadcast everywhere. If OnlyFans come up to you with $100 million check, you don't know what you're doing. You have to sign the contract first, and then they present to you what you are doing. Are you signing that contract, Good Joe?
I'm good. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Wow.
Hey, okay, I like
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
like
good.
this. I like this. A lot of
Yo,
people.
I'm good.
You good? All right, so listen, let me tell you. Justin Pugh said
Okay.
he'll do it. He even told
Stop
200 million.
it. Stop it.
Justin
Stop it.
Pugh
Come
said
on.
he'll do it. A couple other people say we do it. Listen, I was like you, brother. I was
I'm
like, you know what?
good.
I'm good. I'm not gonna do it. And you know what Hefe said to me? He said, "Yo, bro, you're gonna have that one terrible day, and you're gonna be like, where's that contract?" I said, "Yeah,
Hefe,
right."
bro. Hefe, bro. Come on.
I know. I mean, I painted a terrible picture, but he
Hey.
2 weeks later, like almost to the day, he was just having a hell of a
Joe,
day.
it could be on the other side of that. It could be you're just kissing a model for
No,
5
it could
minutes.
be. It could be good.
It could be.
There could be good things. There could also be very bad things. So
It can.
I'm
It
good.
can.
I'm good. For
I like
me.
Joe.
For me.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm good.
Joe. Shout
Hey.
out to you, man. I like that.
This is why we.
I-
This is why we asked the question. Man.
Yeah.
No hesitation. No hesitation. That's my
There was
job.
none.
tonight.
No, like
You
most
were
people think
all
about it.
business.
Most people go,
Yeah.
Now Spiro said he'll take it and get the hell out of here. He'll disappear.
There was
You
no
don't know where
hesitation
he's
on
at.
my part, but it was
There
on
was
the
no
other side.
hesitation.
Right.
I was like, Spee, you're nuts.
Right.
I was like, Spee, you're freaking insane,
Nah,
man.
it's
Like,
crazy.
He's like, nah, man, I'm
finding a
taking
new
it and
life.
wrote it. But yeah,
New
I like
life.
that, Joe. I like that. It means a good
Come
character.
on.
I like that.
Come
I
on.
like that, man.
All right.
But let me say this,
go.
man. Just jump right into it. Guys, you got a question. Let's go.
Let's get right into it.
Well,
And let's
yes.
start at the top, right? It used to be consensus,
Mhm.
number one overall pick. Christian McCaffrey, don't think twice, set it and forget it. But hold up. It might be different this year. Talk to me about, because I have the number one pick in one of my leagues. It's the big league. I can't fuck this up. Is it still Christian McCaffrey? And don't worry, he got 400 touches last year. He's already got a calf strain. Talk to me about what to do with that number one pick. Everyone is at your disposal. What do you do?
I think this year you're gonna be leaning a little heavier into the receivers, specifically CeeDee Lamb at the 101. That's what I'm doing this year, because really every other player has a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of risk, and I'm talking we are splitting hairs here. So like we'll take McCaffrey, for example. So it used to be the case where if McCaffrey, right, played 14 plus games, he'd be the best player in fantasy, wouldn't even be close. It's not the case this year. Brees Hall, Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, all of them are capable of scoring week to week like CMC. You might have noticed 3 of those guys are running backs. So are you going to sit here and split hairs at the running back position at 101, or are you just going to take CD, who is less risk than Tyreek Hill, more proven than Jamar Chase, right? So I'm going with CD there. Some other little facts on CMC, and by the way, it's pretty unpopular to not take him at 101. But CMC's 28 now. RBs, 27 or younger, typically in their prime for scoring fantasy points. No running back has ever finished a top 2 PPR running back 3 seasons in a row. So if McCaffrey does it, he could do it. If anyone's doing it, it's him. But he'd basically be the GOAT PPR running back, which
I mean,
he's there with LT and those
Right.
guys, right? But he would be pretty undisputed if he finishes top 2 again. And again, he led the league in touches at the position last year. Only one of the last 11 running back touch leaders has finished top 12 at the position. It was Ezekiel Elliott a few years back. So those are the risks. Those are the risks, and they're not like I'm making them up. Really, they're pretty. You can choose to ignore them if you want. Yeah,
and like last year was the year to have him. So then right now you're buying him at the ceiling, and you need to replicate last year, which is tough coming off 400 touches. So I get it. There's more risk there in general with running backs, but CeeDee Lamb, I guess you're not concerned about the contract situation at all. And then Tyreek Hill is also like, God, what a home run hitter. He will win you several weeks by himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Tyreek, just talking about him real quick, he finished a top 5 receiver in 60% of his games. The next closest guy was CeeDee Lamb at 31%. I mean, that is a massive margin. His floor is basically the ceiling of every other guy. Right. But, he got banged up a little bit at the end of last year. He's older than CD. I think Waddle takes a big step forward this year. So when you compare CD to every single wide receiver, he has the least risk. Already wide receiver 1 last year, and it's not like a McCaffrey situation where you're buying into last year. It's the exact same thing. So I'm CD 101 in PPR. In half PPR, I lean the guy whose jersey I have on, Breece Hall, a little bit over CMC. Sorry to wear the Jets jersey on the Giants pod, by the way. No
Hey,
disrespect.
Hey.
No
we
disrespect.
don't mind. We don't mind.
We're a
Okay.
New York podcast.
New York.
We are a
Okay,
New
good.
York
All right.
podcast.
All right.
No
So, yeah,
hate.
those are some of
No
my
hate.
thoughts. Those are some of my thoughts.
So how high? We talked about Brees a little bit. How high are you taking your boy Brees in these drafts at this point? Is skyrocketing, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're talking about the CeeDee Lamb contract, which I didn't really touch on. I'm not too worried about it. If we go 2 more weeks here and there's no contract, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But,
Yeah.
You have the contracts going on. You have McCaffrey with a calf strain. You have Tyreek Hill, who's a little bit older. You have Bijan. We haven't really seen it yet. I mean, how many guys in front of Breece Hall do you really want to take over Breece Hall? There's really only 2 elite running backs that check all the boxes. No backfield competition, pass catching ability, elite rushing, great offensive line, volume, 3-down roll, below 27 years old, good quarterback. And it's Breece and Bijan. Okay. Yeah. I lean Breece over Bijan in the drafts because I like Drake London in the second round. And I don't want a wide receiver and running back on the same team. And I've seen Breece do this before. Okay. Last year, he was limited until week 5. Still finished RB4 overall, still led all running backs and targets with no quarterback, terrible O-line, 1 leg, 1 ACL.
Right.
Okay.
And it's always impressive when a running back does that on a bad team. Like they weren't a good scoring team. You would think they'd be throwing in the second half all the time, but you didn't have a quarterback. So
yeah, totally.
It was a weird situation.
And you get the arguments that it's like, oh, well, when Rodgers comes back, there's targets are going to go elsewhere. If the offense and the team is better, it is not a bad thing for Breece Hall. Okay. The points are going to come a little differently, potentially in the form of normal running back on good fantasy or good football team touchdowns, which would be great.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to take Breece 101, be my guest. You want to take Bijan, you want to take CD, go ahead. You want to take McCaffrey, you want to choose to ignore those things, which is totally cool. He's a unicorn, go ahead. Those 4 guys really are the 101s for me, which makes Breece and Bijan at like the 107, 108, 2 of the best picks in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
I gotta ask you this, Joe, because of course I'm the huge Giants fan on here. I understand the Jets, but I'm the huge one on here. We all know. But here's this, man. How high are you in drafting Malik Neighbors coming into his rookie season? And I want to ask another 2-part question here. Is there any Giant player on your list right now that you're pretty high on besides Malik Neighbors as well?
Yeah, so Neighbors is one of the best picks you can make in drafts. I don't love him as my wide receiver 1 on my team. For example, if he's going around guys like DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, and honestly, he could definitely finish above them. But when I just see that they've done this for multiple years now, I'd like them as my 1. I think Malik Neighbors as my wide receiver 2 in my team is like a blessing. Like this is amazing. He's the perfect wide receiver 2, top 10 ceiling, right? Drafted 6th overall, as you guys know. This is a pretty cool stat. So in the last 10 years, there have been 7 wide receivers drafted top 6 and that have played 12 games their rookie season. They have averaged 14.4 fantasy points, which is top 10 at the position last year, for example. Really so Malik plays 12 plus games. Okay. He's going to be finishing at least top 15, in my opinion. Right. I think Daniel Jones is another guy who's really just set up for a career year. I mean, how could he not be? You got Wandale, you got Hyatt, you got Malik, you have a good running game finally with Singletary, who, by the way, running backs with 800 rush yards or more every year since 2021. Mixon, Harris, Jacobs, Henry, Monty, Singletary. 6.
Oh, nice stat.
So Singletary.
You went in his bag for that one. You see that?
Yeah, he was cooking. He was cooking. Joe's cooking.
So I think the Giants can surprise a little bit. I would be excited if I was y'all. I really would be. And this isn't like a Waller situation, right? Like Singletary is a very good real life running back. He's not amazing for fantasy, solid RB2, very good real life running back. If he was on the Chiefs, oh my God, he would be as good as Pacheco in the Super Bowl. So that's how I'm feeling about the Giants. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how it plays out.
I'd love to hear that.
And also the 2-parter, is there any other Giant player that's high on your list that you'll draft into a 2 or maybe your 1 slot there?
In terms of like wide receiver 1, RB 1?
Let's do RB. Yeah, as far as RB or
yeah, I mean, it really is just Singletary. I think that if you find yourself, some people like to do the 0 RB kind of draft strategy where, as I mentioned before, it's Bijan and Breece really are like 2 running backs, that only 2 that exist with like not a lot of risk. And some people say, hey, I can't get one of them. I'm good on RB. I don't need my second, third round pick getting injured or whatever. You know, you want to go draft Singletary late, and all of a sudden you got the best receivers in the league. You got Josh Allen, you got Sam Laporta, and Singletary's your one with like another, you know, pretty good volume-based running back late. I'm all in for that. It's fine. Totally fine.
What do you think about that strategy? It's a new strategy, right? Like this is a new thought process recently.
Yeah, I think it works a little better in like large format leagues. I mean, I'm talking thousands of entries where a lot of obviously people's players overlap, and you kind of have to build unique, you know, rosters, if you will, because the running back position is the easiest to just jump from 0 to hero in a week. Like we've seen it with basically any backup. I mean, Darrell Henderson on the Rams last year was literally watching NFL on his couch. The next week, he was like a top 10 running back. So people kind of bypass the running back position in these large format, thousands of people, $1 million winning types of things. That's cool. I think in the home leagues, 10, 12 teams, I really like that hero RB strategy. It's one of the guys we're talking about. Grab a couple elite running backs and, you know, cash in on those later receivers. Malik Neighbors is one of them. So
you're saying the home leagues, 10-team PPR, grab your 2 anchors and then just load up later on with
there's just a lot of like second tier running backs that are very good. Travis Etienne, who we've talked about for a while on the show last year.
I know. I hear his name and I think of you because you wouldn't shut up about him last year.
I'm very happy to hear that. Okay. You know, Etienne, Achane, Henry, Pacheco, right? Like guys like that.
I love Pacheco. I'm a big
Pacheco. How are you going to skip over dudes like that? So, you know, that's how it is.
Science, baby. So I got a question for you. Now, typically, I like to buy into offenses, right? Like, which offense are you buying into this year? You know, like there was a Lions last year. I feel like you're big on the Jags last year. That kind of fizzled out, you know, for one reason or another. Who are you buying into this year? Who's your offense that you're liking the most?
I think there's a lot to like about. It's kind of a surprising answer, and it's going to be like really until we see it. I think it's the Commanders with Jaden Daniels kind of at the helm here. So we can talk about Daniels separately, but I mean, really, when you look at the weapons they have, Terry McLaurin, who else? Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler is now on the Commanders. Jahan Dotson, 3rd-year first rounder out of Penn State. Zach Ertz, former Eagles, Cardinals, you know, really good tight end. They have a new rookie tight end that they have who's going to basically just get trained up by Ertz. And the new coach is Cliff Kingsbury. So Kingsbury was the coach when Kyler Murray was a rookie. He had a great year, coached him again, I think, for a couple more years. And Jaden Daniels is kind of like a more Lamar Jackson version of Kyler Murray. So, I mean, these are very good players with a good amount of experience and a good balance of new talent. I'm really excited to see what happens here in Washington. Yeah.
I mean, I like that answer. I don't like that it's Washington in our division, but I like that answer.
Sorry.
It is sneaky. It is sneaky.
That's true.
No, Giants got them. Giants are going to roll them. Don't worry.
We always do. So only team
always.
So I got another question here. Like we're talking about RBs. Now I want to go back to a throwback RB here. Derrick Henry. You know, I feel like him in that Ravens uniform always just it got me going from 6 to 12. I was like immediately, I was like, this guy's gonna just dominate. I could see him fucking stiff arming people on Sunday nights and like in that black. Him and Lamar, like it seems like a match made in heaven. Ravens love to run the ball. Now tell me about it. Are you buying stock in Derrick Henry this year? Are you out? Is he over the hill? What's your thought on Derrick Henry here?
I'm not out. I am a little cautious. Like this is one of the RBs where I'm just a tad bit cautious, and I don't love sometimes where people are drafting him. If Derrick Henry's in the 3rd round all day, I'm talking 301. Okay, like if you have the 211 and 301, wait till the 301. It's the next pick.
It matters.
You know, I really like him at that position because, you know, for example, we can take a CeeDee Lamb in round 1. Then we can take Henry, or excuse me, another running back, Etienne, Achane, right? Even Pacheco there at 211, and then Henry.
Right.
And now all of a sudden the risk with Henry is kind of neutralized because you have another really good running back. So like, look at your roster. Okay, Henry goes down. Who am I putting in at RB2? And I don't mean to, you know, talk like, predicting injuries, whatever, but it's not predicting. It's just telling you he's 30 years old. Running back typically, as we're talking about, decline at 28. I mean, this is the 3rd year past that. He's got about 1.5 million touches under him. And like, I don't love drafting him over, you know, an Isaiah Pacheco, who's going to see all this work in the passing game, where Henry probably doesn't catch 40 balls. And what happens like if they're behind in a game, which maybe that doesn't happen very often, but what happens if, Justice Hill's out there for third downs catching balls and it's not Henry from the 1 yard line 3 times a game? Like you're going to have some floor games, but I mean, he's going to have some 40 pointers for sure. So
he's gonna be very like he's gonna cash in for you. Like he's gonna get those goal line. They don't want now. They won't have to run Lamar as much around the goal line. I think Henry's gonna steal a lot of goal line. But I don't think he's gonna rack up. I don't think he's gonna rack up as many yards as you think. I think it might be 80 yards on the ground, but 2 touchdowns. Like in his great weeks.
Yep.
Does it affect Lamar Jackson for any of you guys? Like, does he take a little bit of hit down those goal line carries that he used to get?
I think so. I mean, I think Lamar at QB4 off the board, like that's where he should be going, I guess.
Yeah.
But why am I drafting Lamar at QB4 when Kyler Murray is 50 picks later, 83rd overall?
Yeah.
Jordan Love, who finished QB5 last year, 86th overall. Dak Prescott, top 3 QB, the best quarterback in fantasy, about 40 picks later. So I just think you got to be pretty careful with cashing in on those elite QBs, if you will, because there's value everywhere at the position.
Facts.
That's facts. So, guys, hold on. Before we get to another question, we do have some super chats rolling in. Let's get to that real quick in a second. And then, of course, we got Joe Orrico here, guys. If you don't know, now you know. Let's go to the super chats, man. We're talking more fantasy.
Well, when you see this name, it's time for Spiro. It's time for Spiro. Our guy Tuto.
Massive salutes and respects to NY fam and crew, and all dire Giants fans across the pond. Greetings from our entire rugby team in Italy and F. Saquon as well. Thank you.
Let's go.
And Tuto, I wanted to ask. We were talking about you during the Olympics. Were you in France? Are you on that level?
Because we were watching some rugby and it had us thinking, like, is our fucking guy out? Is he out there?
People are jacked over
Tuto's
there,
our boy from
man.
Across the sea, man. He's
all I know is I saw like a 6'8" guy looking like 350 solid. I was like, there's Tuto. There's Tuto. He's right there. It's Tuto. That's him. It gotta be him. It's gotta be.
All you see are these profile pictures with gigantic muscles, and I have no idea what he looks like otherwise. So.
You can fantasize.
I'm just
right.
Just
all
glad
right, let's
he's
get to
on
the
our
next one,
side.
man. What else you guys have for Brother Joe?
Okay, so what I'm asking for, and for anybody, by the way, you got to follow Joe on Twitter. If you play fantasy football, put the notifications on. He does such great content, and you did have
not
something
wrong
today.
either.
He did have a tweet today about your guys, but in case anybody didn't see that, I want you to give me 2 players that you're just absolutely all in on. One being like the sexy, maybe it's the first round pick guy, but then maybe something like later rounds that you just love the value and you're just trying to get them everywhere, even if you have to get them around early. Who would be that guy? Who are those 2 guys? Sexy in the late round.
Okay, so the sexy one, who is, I would say a second rounder, but I think he's like even a little undervalued there, is going to be Devon Achane on the Dolphins. So,
yes,
I mean, you can say what you want about undersized, injuries, this and that. So he was literally the best running back of all time at scoring fantasy points through his 130 first touches. There's been no one better. He's scored 1.41 PPR points per touch. That is basically the most ever. Historic. For reference, Brees led the position going into last year at 1.06. And I'll say it again, Achane had 1.4. 45% or more snaps for Achane for 14 games even basically guarantees him a top 5 running back. He's going at like RB10. And he only missed 1 game in college, played a couple years at A&M. It's not like he's a super injury-prone guy. I think he took a little bit to adapt to the NFL. This is a guy who can go and drop 50 points for you, or he can go just score 13 on 5 touches, right? He's not a guy like, Mostert's there. I'm really nervous about it. Doesn't matter. Let him get 40% of the snaps. And, similar to Derrick Henry, right? You kind of have to construct your roster to minimize his risk. We have seen him miss time. That's a fact. So just construct your roster, but he's a great guy to double up on RB. So that's my kind of sexy.
Real quick. Wasn't there one game where he just went God mode?
He got 50 plus. Right?
So I'd be interested in you can't take away that game, but God damn it, that's got to inflate the crap out of his numbers,
but he had a bunch. It wasn't like just one game, right? He blew up several. Games.
So I mean, he had 1 game here. If I can just find, basically the first time he was really put out there on the field. 51.3 points. I mean, he had 200 rushing yards. He literally had 200 rushing yards.
Was that 70-point
crazy.
game? I think they scored 70 on Denver or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like then you look at the next two games, right? So he had 11.3 yards per carry. Okay, the next game 12.6 went up. The next game 13.7, still going up. And then he got it. Then he got injured. Came back still well over 4.5 per carry, multiple games over 6.7. So, and still scoring pretty well. I mean, the last two times we've seen him on the field, 13 points, 24 points. Like, I don't know what. It was kind of like that with Puka, right? We were like, oh, geez, he's setting all these records. What should we do about that? Nah, I'm good. No.
Right. I don't trust it. I don't trust the record.
Yeah, sometimes these guys are just kind of legendary. Like, so he's a great pick for me.
Okay.
And I don't love Mostert backing up what he did last year. I think he's going to take a step back. He was injury prone too, like prior to this year. So there's a good chance he gets hurt. I love Kane, man. I'm all in on it.
Totally.
Good offense. Great offense too.
I agree. And then, let me say this, man. Okay, Joe,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you got it. Go.
Yep. I was going to ask this question, man, because we all know how the Philadelphia Eagles offense or what they can be. They can be very explosive. But I just want to get your thoughts on the Eagles offense. More importantly, which wide receiver are you high on, or are you buying at this point? And give me your thoughts on Saquon Barkley as well.
No, this is a fun topic, and I'm going to circle back to Hefe's sleeper pick kind of later. Just remind me because I do have a good one.
Yes.
But for the Eagles, I put out a bold predictions thread a couple weeks ago. Actually had Devonta Smith scores more PPR fantasy points than AJ Brown this year.
Wow.
So I think that. I think that AJ Brown in the first, I think AJ is the one guy who I think is being a little overdrafted. It's kind of hard to look at the first round and be like, oh, no way. And I don't feel that way about AJB. 10th overall, I'm there all day. But like Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs in front of him every single time for me. The reason I say that, right? So the last time Brown scored as a top 10 receiver, which is very hard to believe for fantasy, was week 10 last year. So weeks 11 through 18, he was the wide receiver 24. Devonta Smith was the wide receiver 10. He has scored double-digit fantasy points in every single game since week 7, aside from one where I think he was a little banged up. And then you bring in Kellen Moore from the Cowboys, but he was somewhere else. I think maybe the Chargers. Yeah. And he's very good at putting receivers in positions for them to win. AJ Brown's better at doing that himself, whereas Devonta Smith is a bit of a more versatile receiver. I think AJ Brown does what he does better. He's one of the best in the league at being fast and powerful and big and strong. Devonta Smith is a smoother route runner, probably a bit more like intelligent in his route running and getting open and separating. And I think he's really going to benefit from like a little bit of pre-snap motion. If he finds the slot role, you could see Devonta Smith, being drafted, as I was talking before, right next to Neighbors, Cup. These guys, I love that range. Literally all those guys are great. So I think that gap's going to be very close. Maybe he doesn't beat AJB, but we'll see. And then with Barkley, I'm pretty interested here. I don't really know. He's not my favorite pick. I like Kyron Williams over him, for example. I like Jonathan Taylor a little bit more. And that's just because we've seen Barkley the last 2 years in a row. His underlying rushing metrics have kind of declined a little bit. He's now pushing that 27, 28 range. So this is really the last year we can get something out of Barkley. But with that being said, I think a little bit of that fall off is attributed, to the Giants O-line.
I agree. We
know.
And now he's got a top 5, top 3 O-line. So he's going to get his. I'd be shocked if he doesn't finish as an RB1, but I'm not sure he has that RB1 overall ceiling, if you will.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yep. And then,
go ahead. Keep going.
No, you got it. No,
I want, when you're done with your thought, I want to hear your sneaky under the radar guy. I'm interested. Yes.
Okay, so that's what I was going to circle back to. So I think that to kind of finish off on Hefe's question from earlier, the one guy who's like very easily, I think he's going outside the top 100 players or outside the top 90. It's Jackson Smith and Jigba on the Seahawks. So he's the second-year receiver out of Ohio State. So basically, they're bringing in. They used to have Shane Waldron as the offensive coordinator. He's on the Bears now, and he was just famous for underutilizing like really good players. Ken Walker, DK Metcalf had his worst season last year for no reason. in the prime of his career. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba, right?
Yeah.
So he came in injured to start the season. He broke his wrist. And just to remind you who he is, kind of, like I said, from Ohio State. So he played at the same time as Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, who are going in the first round and second round. He was better than them, way better, like way better with CJ Stroud at a younger age. So now he's going to move into the slot role, and Ryan Grubbs, the new offensive coordinator from Washington University, who we just saw make the college football playoffs, with Odunze and Polk and all these great wide receivers. So if you look at the slot wide receiver leaders in the NFL, the guys who scored the most fantasy points or most yardage last year, it was Justin Jefferson in 2019 and then Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, or the last 2 years, whatever, those two guys. Jackson Smith and Jigba coming out of college, way better than both of them, like way better. One of the best prospects, basically. Honestly, comparable to Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah. So
Wow.
I think there was a lot to like go wrong last year. Injured, third wide receiver on the depth chart behind Lockett, who's, ageless, I guess, and DK Metcalf. And then with a bad coach, and then he kind of just never got a shot. Coming out of college, and still today, he was compared athletically. Like if you look at 40-yard dash, shuttle, bench press, all broad jump, vert jump, arm length, everything, to Christian McCaffrey. So he's more of like a versatile receiver. So he is in the 9th, 8th round, wide receiver 4, even in a flex. This is the guy. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, don't work out. And it's your 9th round pick, whatever.
Right.
But I'm shocked to see the ADP. I really am. I'm shocked.
Also, like Lockett, I think Lockett is 31. Like he's
he's got to be hitting.
He's going to pass that torch at some point. Could be this year. We'll see. But
totally,
I like that. Steve.
Yep, guys. Before we continue, of course, man, I want to shout out to the 429 people who are watching today. Thank you so much. We do appreciate the support. Of course, we got Joe Orrico here, guys. Of course, if you don't know, now you know, man. Does all your fantasy needs. He hasn't been wrong. I don't care what no one says. He can be modest. He can be modest and humble. It's all right. But guys, of course, man, we got a special guest in the building. Of course, we got another super chat we want to get to as well.
Yes. Well, it's
you got your
Tuto was answering my question from earlier. He was saying, he's explaining there's levels to this shit, and he plays on the hardest level. He fucks people up. And he's talking. He's like he's calling other rugby players soft. That's how tough.
Dude, I wouldn't call women rugby players soft. They would truck me. I said it during the Olympics. Rugby is a sport you just don't fuck with. That
extreme violence.
Oh my god!
Guy. Yeah, televised. Yeah, I gotta watch Tuto. Tuto, DM us one time. We gotta see you live. I want to.
You gotta have some highlights. Yeah. Like send us a YouTube. And is that pic with the triceps exploding out your back? Yeah. Like is that you?
All right, real, let's get back on track here.
Hold on, and don't forget, Underdog Fantasy, guys. If you use promo code Revival, they will match your deposit up to half, up to $250. So don't forget, guys, please download the app today. Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Revival, match your deposit up to $200. Well, buy half up to $250. Guys, I'm rusty. We should not went out to drink. I should have just kept it.
But we're gonna fire up. Right? We're firing up a new best ball draft tomorrow. So look out for that link. We'll send that out tomorrow.
And use some of the tips that you're getting today because Joe's dropping some bombs. All right, I got more important things to talk about there. I'm a big rookie guy. Rookie QBs, rookie RBs, rookie wide receivers. That's my. I love to find the diamonds in the rough. Mm-hmm. Now let's start from the top here. Rookie QBs. Are there levels? Do you have a couple people level one? Is there a clear one? Tell us what you're thinking about and who's going to make the most impact year one.
Yep. So I think there's a clear one. We already talked about him a little bit earlier. It is Jaden Daniels. So he is on the Washington Commanders. Saw him play preseason. I believe he touched the ball 4 times. He had 1 incompletion and he scored 8 fantasy points. 60-yard bomb and a rush from about 5 yards out. So this is exactly what you're getting with Jaden Daniels. Okay. He's the only quarterback in the history of college football with 12,000 pass yards in his career and 3,000 rush yards. He averaged 90 plus rush yards per game in his final 2 seasons at LSU. He's played like 3-4 years in college. Wow. He's been, Arizona State, everywhere. He's experienced. Okay. Now, the reason we love him for fantasy is because of his rushing ability. When you look at the quarterbacks that are elite rushers, right? Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Richardson, Kyler is really the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we keep scrolling. Jaden Daniels. There he is. So
Yeah.
he is really the cheapest elite rushing QB. And the only reason he's so cheap is because we haven't seen it yet. We'll buy the stock right now. So this is a pretty cool stat. Speaking of rushing, there have been in the last 10 years, 27 quarterbacks with 100 or more rush attempts in an entire season. So he's going to clear that. 24 of the 27 have finished as QB1s, top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy points per game. So if you want to just kind of punt QB in your draft, go get him late. I love that. And we look at the second kind of factor for QB success, for rookie success specifically. We've seen this with Brock Purdy. It's exactly what I told you exactly 1 year ago, is the supporting cast. And we already talked about it. McLaurin, Dotson, Robinson, Kingsbury, Eckler, Ertz. It's great. It's not elite like the Niners, but it's very, very good.
For fantasy purposes, it's fine. Yeah.
It's perfect. And I do like Caleb Williams as well. The guy, Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator from the Seahawks, who kind of ruined DK last year, is now on the Bears. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, it should go pretty well. And he looked like a monster in the preseason. Like a monster.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, Caleb. Yeah, it seems like he's getting slept on a little bit. He did make a couple of nice throws that I saw in the preseason. What's your thoughts on this year? Where are you at?
I was originally kind of lower, not super low. I had him, top 15 or so. It's just hard to rank Caleb Williams for me ahead of Brock Purdy, who for 2 years now on a points per game basis has been top 10, or ahead of Jordan Love, who was QB5 last year, was the best QB in fantasy for 2 months in a row that no one talks about last year. And then after in front of those two guys, you got Kyler, Dak, Burrow. I can't rank Caleb ahead of these guys. So I find him in that tier as a rookie, which is pretty good with Tua, Goff, those guys. And I think that could be a value pick. So
yeah, especially if you pair him with even if you were to pair him, and if you're waiting on quarterback and you get Purdy or Tua, who's later rounds, who will get you a nice floor every week, but then get some upside with one of those rookies, and you're sitting pretty.
That's a great way to do it.
Okay, so one more question here. We're talking rookie wide receivers. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on Dunze, but I think the consensus is it's going to be kind of between Harrison and Neighbors for your wide receiver one of rookies. Who are you leaning towards? Is it clearly Neighbors? Do you like Harrison with a better quarterback? What's your thoughts on those two?
I do like, Harrison over Neighbors, not because of the player versus player comparison. I think that if the teams were switched, like you just said, if Harrison went to the Giants and vice versa, I think Neighbors would be early third round pick, and I think he'd be going ahead of Harrison. But, we're splitting hairs on who's the better receiver out of college. I mean, a lot of people go Harrison, a lot of people go Neighbors. I don't really care, right? It doesn't really matter to me who was better in college, who's better prospect.
Right.
Doesn't matter. When we look at Harrison, if we want to talk about a prospect, I mean, sophomore breakout, 1,200 yard, 14 touchdown seasons, 45% dominator rating, caught 100% of targets, 20 plus yards or more. I mean, absolute monster. And then you look at, quarterback, Kyler Murray. Guess what he needs? A monster wide receiver. And I mean, he made Hollywood Brown in 2022 when he was healthy, a top 5 wide receiver for about 10 weeks there before everyone's ankles started breaking. So, a lot of people are off of Marvin because he's expensive.
He's going on the radar.
In drafts. Yeah. He's expensive in drafts, but he's behind Garrett Wilson, behind Puka, behind AJ, as he should be. And he's ahead of some guys with some more risk, like Adams and London and Olave. So I think, I'm fine with him. If we look at some guys kind of down the list, I think Xavier Worthy is having a nice preseason for the Chiefs. Speaking of Hollywood Brown, he's injured now, out 4 to 5 weeks or whatever. So Worthy's going to have a chance. And then a bit of a sleeper rookie is Xavier Legette on Carolina. He's basically just like Deebo Samuel Jr. And he's very slept on right now. A lot of people don't love the Panthers, but I think they might have a surprise year. It might be another pick for a surprise offense. So
that's Bryce Young. That's the Bryce Young hate right now over what he did last year. And I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I'm with you on that.
Yep. Totally.
Very nice. I think we're going to go around the horn one more time here, right? We each got another question for you. You got to follow Joe, No Expert FF on Twitter. He's the best in the game. The best in the game. We're happy that we have you on here all the time. So thank you. Tight end position. Travis Kelce's got to pass this torch eventually.
Mhm.
Is this the year he's finally not tight end one? And if so, maybe who do you have as your top 3? Who would be your first tight end off the board?
So I think that first tight end off the board is a tough question because I don't love it. Like if you're asking me to rank the tight ends, it's Laporta, McBride. Those are kind of in the tier of themselves, and then you have Kelsey Andrews. I think the strategy for tight end is get one of those 4. Now, Laporta and Kelsey just go very early. Like I'm not touching Sam Laporta in the second round. I'm not doing that.
Right.
When Achan's on the board, we just talked about him. No.
Yep.
Do I need to draft Kelsey in the 3rd when McBride and Andrews are in the 4th? No. So I find a lot of McBride and Andrews on my team. Trey McBride going into his 3rd year now is actually the best tight end in fantasy once he hit his full-time role last year, better than Laporta, who relied a lot on touchdowns, which, there's 100 options on the Lions. Maybe he doesn't get his touchdowns this year. So McBride's really the guy I'm targeting. Andrews 2nd. And I'm not really paying up for Kelsey or Laporta this year.
That's
I'm
fair.
with you.
That's fair.
I'm with you. Neither
Sweet.
am I.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a clear top 5, right? And then, but there's some decent depth there too. Like there's some guys you could use. I guess probably a lot of them will go undrafted. And again, a guy like Brock Bowers, I don't know how he's going to get used, but I feel like he's not getting drafted until real late. And this guy's a top 10 talent / pick. So like, what do you think about Brock Bowers? Do you see him making any kind of impact this year one?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how good Marvin Harrison was. Brock Bowers just played a different position. He was basically just as good in terms of the stat line at the end of the year. I mean, pretty ridiculous. So if they used him in preseason, like 5 snaps in out of the fullback position and play action to him and threw him a route. I mean, if they do that type of stuff during the season and he's not even a traditional tight end, they're using him like Kelsey, it's going to be a big season, like a Laporta-esque, maybe not tight end 1 overall, but top 5. I think he's a great pick for sure. And you can pair him we're talking like QBs before. Grab Bowers, pair him with a guy like Jake Ferguson and the Cowboys, who's going later. Pair him with Dalton Schultz for CJ Stroud. Let that guy kind of do the work. And then once Bowers is, fully evolved into his final form here, throw him in the lineup.
Right.
Are you buying into the annual Kyle Pitts hype train?
Is this the year?
Not real. I don't want to say yes or no. My answer is I don't have to. Because I don't have to. Like, I have Kittle 5 picks later. I have Evan Ingram, who set the Jaguars tight end record last year, 12 picks later.
That's a boy.
So why do I have to sit here and, figure
Go
out
through
if
that
Pitts is worth it? I don't know. So let the
post type. Yeah.
Yeah, let the guy in your league who, is super convinced, draft him. And with that being said, could Kyle Pitts finish tight end 1 this year? Of course. I mean, how old is he? 23? Yeah. Of course he does.
He hasn't been unlocked yet. Do you mind if, while we're on that offense, Drake London, are you super high on him, 2nd round, as your first wide receiver? Would you be comfortable with him?
I think that we've talked about the first 3 rounds a lot. So if you go wide receiver in round 1, I like RB in 2 and 3. If you go RB in round 1, I like wide receiver in rounds 2 and 3. And I'm targeting London, yes, because I don't love the 2nd round wide receivers. Devontae Adams, I don't love him this year. And that could be a horrible mistake. But again, it's kind of like Pitts. Why do I have to figure that out? Brandon Ayuk currently doesn't want to be on the team he's on. And he's not really as good at scoring fantasy points as Debo when he's healthy. So I'm not picking him. So when I'm ordering Harrison, London, and Olave, I'm taking them in that order. But it's like when I'm looking at them as my wide receiver 1, I want another one in the 3rd. So I think London is going to be very good with Kirk. He has no competition. Kirk has no issue chucking it up. So I'm fine with London with another strong wide receiver.
That's fair. That's fair.
Totally agree. And Joel, I'm going to ask you this, man, because I've been doing a little bit of my homework. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the expert. I'm definitely not an expert in fantasy here. But I know stack options is a quarterback and a wide receiver on the same team playing together. So let me say this here. Who are your best stack options for 2024?
This is a good one.
Good question.
I'll give you kind of like a more expensive one, if you will. And then that might be a little harder to acquire, and then some other options. So I think this could be the year for the Burrow Chase connection. Very similar to Prescott and Lamb last year. I mean, Jamar leads the league in red zone targets last 2 seasons. So he could just go out and score like 15 plus touchdowns. I really wouldn't be surprised. I'm talking 3 a game, 50 point. Like this could be the year because we've been waiting now for a real long time. If Jamar comes out and breaks fantasy, that could be the case. Then if you have Higgins fully healthy, you're going to have Burrow in the top 3, like a Peyton Manning type of deal here. Like it's going to be crazy. And that is a possibility. Anytime I can draft them, I'm doing that. I think cheaper, like looking later in the draft, Jordan Love with any one of these Packers wide receivers. Now, that's another issue where it's like, which one?
I don't know what to make of that receiver room at all.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. So it's very difficult, but it's kind of like a no wrong answer situation. So
Jordan Reed, baby.
Yeah, or Jaden Reed. Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's 4 guys, right? You have Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, and Watson. So Jaden Reed is really the only guy who has a very unique role. He plays a lot like Debo in this offense. They give him handoffs. When he's on the field, he's getting the ball. So it's not like you can look at the snap counts and be like, oh, he doesn't play as much. Well, when he does, he gets the ball. So I like to go Love and then Reed. And then between the other 3, I think Watson has the highest ceiling but the lowest floor. So you're kind of just balancing. And more of the story is Love is a great pick. Grab Reed if you can. If you can't, just grab one of the other guys and see what happens. You'll know right away.
They'll be cheap. I think that's it's reflected in their draft price, right? Because it's not like one of them's in the 3rd round, the rest down here. They're all kind of like scattered in those middle.
Oh yeah, people look at them and they're like, "I'm good. Yeah, someone else can deal with that shit because I don't need to be sitting here figuring that out." So whatever.
Awesome,
man. Any other questions? Of course, man. If I got Joe before,
listen, we could do this all day. We we kept Joe long enough. Actually, I got one more question, just real quick for the people. If you had to pick a spot in a snake draft, what's your spot? Where a 10-team league? Where would you love to draft most this year?
It's a great question. It changes kind of frequently and with the news and everything, but I think we talked about it at the beginning. I think the 4th overall spot, because my decision is made for me. It's one of Lamb, Bijan, Brees, or McCaffrey. And then whoever's there, I pick. I have a strategy ready for whoever it is, and we go from there.
I love it.
You could even back that up if you're okay with like Tyreek Hill. Did you say Tyreek or no?
I mean, he's not one of my top 4, but like he's 5th. I mean, like, so if you value him,
I'm at the 9 spot. And in me and Spiro's league, the Revival League, and now I did a quick mock draft, and I'm like, all right, so I see 8 like elite options, and then 9, and then I'm at the 9, like, fuck, like real quick, like at the 9, are you still like, it's obviously best player, but not necessarily you gotta have guy there, even though it's likely to shake out a certain way. What would you be thinking at the 9?
Yeah, it's actually really funny because I answer questions for my subscriber, shameless plug, sorry, in my Discord. And
we're gonna get to it.
Some guy just asked me, like, as I was joining the show, he's like, shit, I have the 9 pick. I don't see the value here. And really at the 9, you got to decide between Gibbs, who of course just hurt his hamstring, or Garrett Wilson. And I think those guys are just as good as the 8 going in front of them. So really, if you're 11, you have issues. Like 11, I'm like, all right, we'll see here. And even still, like 11 gets you AJ Brown. But then 12, you get into Puka, JT, Saquon, and at that point, I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks. So for you, Hefe, Garrett Wilson or Jahmyr Gibbs, if Jahmyr wasn't hurt, it would be him. So kind of just see what roster you like better, and we always DM, so let me know how you're feeling about it. We'll figure it out.
My man. I didn't want to advertise that.
No, it's cool. My bad. We can edit that.
Your DMs are going to be flooded. Be like,
oh no.
So, guys, of course, man, this is our guy, Joe Orrico, man. Please tell the people where they can find you, pod, social media, all that stuff, man. Do all the plugging you can, brother, please.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's just at NoExpertFF on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And that's, I mean, you can find everything from there. If you have any questions, DM them to me. I'll probably direct you to my Discord. I like to keep it all in one place. It's building a pretty good community over there. So that's it, fellas. I really appreciate y'all. This is always a great time. And anytime you want me on during the season, you let me know. I think we did that last year, so I'm down. Whatever.
You're
Hell
the
yeah.
That's
best.
awesome, man. Please, we're definitely gonna have you back on because our
Perfect.
fantasy
Thank you,
league, I'm
fellas.
gonna be lost without you, man. So we're gonna definitely have you back on.
Let's
next
get it.
season.
Let's get it.
Thank you so much, Joe, for your time, man. We'll see you on the next one,
Dope.
my brother. Thank you so
Cheers,
much.
fellas. See ya.
Thank you,
Adios.
brother.
buddy.
Take care, man.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Man,
Awesome.
I love that guy.
Who's
I love
better
that
than
guy.
He's the
Joe?
best. He's
I
the
love
best.
that guy.
I
Joe
said
is
it
a
in
fool.
our revival chat. I was telling you guys, like, he's a guy I always keep eye on. Like, I think I forget if it was 2 seasons ago or last year when we connected with him for the first time. But like, you keep an eye on the people who are doing work, and even though it's fantasy football and it's a little different from the world we're in, I still love following people who are doing good work. And this guy has absolutely taken off. And I mean, like when I found him, I think he was still like had a big account, like he was 18 to 20K followers, something like that. And then I checked, what I thought was a couple of weeks later, and he grew like 8,000. And now he's over. And like literally last week I checked because I knew we were going to have him. It was at 47K. I checked before the show. It's at 52K. The guy's absolutely taking off. And I'm just like so happy for him because he genuinely does good work. He doesn't just throw stupid takes at the wall. He backs it up with facts. He gets you excited about fantasy football, and he's a good dude.
Yeah. And if you're not following him, he comes out, he goes through the work, man. He does the work. Yep. He has like a tweet, like 5 tweets per day with all kinds of strategies, all kinds of players to pick, man. Follow him. If you're not, he's the real deal.
He's my source. He's my source of truth. I'll hit him up when he says idea. I'm like, if I'm just agonizing on a start-sit decision, I'm like, you got to help me, dude. I got to start two out of these 3. He'll say it so simply. Matter of fact, these guys, because this one, he's facing this guy and he's got this % shut down against this kind of defense. And this corner only allows 13%. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, whatever. I'm just going to do what he said. And it's like 9 out of 10 times he's right. He just knows, does the work.
Yo, he's really good, man. Like, honestly, man, like just watching him and seeing how he actually builds his team. He knows everything. And, he's just really good. And it's someone that doesn't know fantasy, but to see him going and winning, to see him grow, like, it's just incredible, man.
Eli, this is probably cool for you because you're getting into fantasy.
Yeah.
And you just this was like a crash course from him because, me and Spiro have been playing forever and we're still like in awe of the amount of knowledge that this guy has and just pulling stats. Like he went in his bag for that one. Like only 6 running backs have done this in the last 8 years. They are
unreal, bro.
And they're not like the names you would think of. They're like random names and he just knew it.
Isn't that insane? Yeah. Like that's just crazy, man. He's good. He's good, man.
Spiro, we got to catch up with Tuto real quick before we move on.
Yes.
Okay, so Tuto's like just feeding us tonight. So we thank you,
Tuto, man. We gotta get the air horns for Tuto.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love you, Tuto.
The best.
Also, he does rugby pay-per-view live telecasts.
Yo,
that's where
that's because there's like deaths on the field. There's like he's just killing people. It's straight up.
This is unbelievable. And then he comes back. Our season opener, August 16th. Okay. That's in a couple days.
I gotta get on this. Oh, that's.
All right, we got to figure this out. Tuto,
Sky Sports pay-per-view. We're gonna have to message him and get this.
Yeah, please pray for my victims, Faye. I love him.
Please. Please. Yo, I saw victims and I'm like, all right, yeah, like we'll donate. Like what's the cost? And he's like, no, pray for my victims. Is what he said. I misread that.
I'm hyped. I ain't gonna lie. I'm ready to see Tuto crack
again. We're all banned from the links last year, but we'll be in Philly for the Giants match on January 5th. We'll settle all our differences.
Oh my God! If there's ever a person to go to Philly with, it's we'll line up behind Tuto and just get ready to scrap.
If any Philly fan talks shit, I'm just big Tuto. Get him.
Right. Listen, man, that'll be great, man. Listen, you got to get into the fight a little bit. We got to feel young just a little bit, man. We got to throw a little left hook somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to the 597 people in the building. But, guys, I just want to get onto this couple things here because we are New York Revival, right? We got to talk about, man, Tyrone Tracy, man. What a scare. Friend of the shows. Our guy praying for a speedy recovery. But at first, man, of course, he goes down, non-contact football injury. The cart comes out. They give him an air cast, and it's looking real bleak. God. But then, of course, man, a guy, Ian Rappaport, comes out and says, hey, man, it looked a little bit more scary than what it was. Right now, it just looks like an ankle sprain. You want to talk about dodging a bullet because the Giants forever has been this team that's just been high in injuries. But first, I just want to ask, man, and I'm going to start with Hef, how freaking scared were you, man? I was scared.
So our guy,
that's your guy, too. That's
I
your
know.
guy.
I do love this guy.
We
But
love our
Sal, our friend Sal, Queens guy. He brought me back down to earth today a little bit because I'm just like I was doing the whole this Giants world. What
Doom
the
and
fuck is
gloom.
wrong with
Yeah.
our fields? Rip the field up like it was grass. Like what do you want him to do? Like it was outside on the grass. But Sal was like, at the end of the day, we lost a member of our running back committee, or so we thought, right? And you still have Singletary. You saw how Eric Gray looked in that first preseason game. He's a guy at worst at RB2. Like that's a guy. And then you got Turbo, right? So you still got options. And if that's a position where you can fill depth easily, then maybe any other position. So it was disappointing because I think the kid is great. And I think he can add to an offense that knows how to use him. But it really felt like it must have just looked terrible. And maybe it just felt just felt like that at first because apparently he screamed, went down in pain. They made it seem like a helicopter was coming
They
to
airlift.
Yeah, like
they're
gonna
crazy.
airlift him to the nearest to chop off his leg. Like that's how it felt. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, he's in meetings. He's all right.
I'm good.
Yeah,
He's good.
Okay.
Slight limp. He'll be okay." So like this could be it's a lower ankle, right? So high ankle is worse. So it looks like this could be a few weeks. I mean, he might miss minimal time. So blessing, and we dodged one there for sure.
I went DEFCON 5. I was like, non-contact injury. Of course, it was on a kickoff, not even just like a running play. So I'm already irate because it's not a normal play.
As if that makes it. I know.
Yeah, I know. It's just like he muffed the punt and muffed the kick. He gets injured. They air casted it, non-contact. In your mind, every time you hear those things together, you're like, okay, Achilles, torn ACL, like it's worst case, like dislocated ankle, whatever it is. I'm like, season ending. He's an older running back. This guy's career's over before he even starts. Like that's where my mind went right away. And because listen, it's not about, and I understand it in a vacuum. It's not a big deal because he's part of a committee. He's a 5th round rookie. It shouldn't be a big deal. And what Sal was saying is like, it's kind of sad that we're making this big of a deal out of a 5th round rookie, which to a point is yes. But for a team that's lacking depth like ours is, we finally might have found a guy, a fucking diamond in the rough, a gem. And for once, it's like to be a better team, you need to hit on these kind of guys later in the draft, right? You need to find a 5th round rookie. So you could take off and you could check off the RB position for going forward. It finally felt like we might have found a guy that could have possibly been the RB1 by the end of the season, and then to have him go away that early, it felt that's what was crushing about it for me. And I really loved what I saw this guy. I think he's got not world of potential, but he has potential to get even better because he's just a new running back. He's just moved from wide receiver to running back. The skills are there, so. I was devastated to see him go down, even though he's a 5th round rookie, part of a committee, and that's why I was shook. And that's why I'm so happy now that it looks like we might have dodged a serious bullet here.
I'm telling you
What do
right now.
think?
I'm telling you right now. A lot of people saying running back by committee. I cut on film and I looked at him during preseason. And shout out to his management team because I actually texted him that night that I seen him play, and I stand by this. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be a star in this league.
Ooh,
I really think
look at that.
he has the potential to be an RB1 in this league, and I mean set it on fire. The kid has instincts. The kid has quickness. The kid has vision as far as hitting holes. Now, he didn't break one. No, don't get it twisted. But the fact that he can have the vision to cut back and hit certain holes and to run with that tenacity, I think this kid's going to be a star in the league here. Now, you know how you looked at Saquon Barkley? He was like indecisive a little bit, or he moved a little too much. Tyrone Tracy didn't.
Stutter stepped.
Yeah, wait. He gave you his option. He hits it, and if he had to make a cut, he'll make a cut. But it was just mean running. You get what I'm saying? So I think
My
this kid's
Bradshaw
gonna be great. Yeah, it gives you even Gray, and we could get to Gray in a second.
Yeah, that was a good call you said about Gray. That
was good.
That was
even
a Bradshaw
Gray
cut.
would give you that Bradshaw vibe, that Bradshaw cut. I think Tyrone Tracy does it a whole lot smoother. If he was in for that play, it'd have took it to the house and it'd been smooth. I think this kid's gonna be great, man. So the fact that he dodged the bullet today, that he could be out there, we could see his full potential. I'm excited, man. I did not want it to cut short. I was definitely nervous, definitely afraid. I ain't even hit up his management, man. I was just like, Please let it be good. I'll probably hit them up tomorrow. Make
Yes.
sure they're okay and everybody's good over there. Yes, man. We know their management, Steve, with their team guys. Of course. New York Revival. We know everybody. I don't know. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. We
It's
don't
dropping.
know.
It's dropping.
We just know something. But of course, I'll hit them up, man, to see how he's doing. But the kid is going to be a potential star in this league, and I mean that, man. So I'm just glad he's dodged a bullet. Hopefully, we get to see him week 1, which I think they'll probably shut him down until then. And let's see what he can do, man. Because week 1 just will be just the iceberg. I think we'll see him as the season go along, and you start to see him get more comfortable. I think this kid's going to be great. It's going to be explosive for us. I really do think so. So shout out to you, man. Get well soon, brother. We here. You already know, man. We're fans here, man. We got your back over here at Revival, man. Shout out to Tyrone Tracy, man. But of course, man, one more person. I just want to go across town real quick because we know Malik Neighbors unfortunately had an ankle injury, but it looks like he'll be okay. He'll be fine.
He's good. Yeah.
I just want to talk about this other town rival because this New York Revival, Hassan Riddick saga there.
What a fucking disaster.
God,
what a shit show.
Dude, I hate deals that make the Eagles look good. And how he just everything he touches just turns to fucking gold. Like you just traded a pile of shit. Right?
It's just unbelievable.
Dude, let me tell you about Hassan Riddick, right? Now, I was like, somebody explain this to me like I was 2. So here's the story, right? They wanted to trade. They traded for him to go to the Jets, and a deal was supposed to get done, but the Jets said, nah, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo. They didn't do this deal at all.
Well, you always see these trades and that people that need extensions. It's like a foregone conclusion. You get traded, you sign the extension. That's usually how it works. But keep going.
How we did with Brian Burns, right? But the Jets is playing hardball. Spee, I want to ask you this, Spee. I want to ask you this. What leverage does Hassan Riddick have at this point going into this season, brother? You think he'll play, actually? That's the question, too.
I mean, I don't know. With the Jets, well, listen, he doesn't really have much leverage right now because he could not play. And then if he doesn't play this year, the Jets still own his rights next year because it doesn't count as a year registered because he didn't show up for practice. He didn't show up for games. So he's doing himself a disservice right now. He's getting fined all the money that he probably could have gotten, that he wants. He's losing it right now by missing all these practices. He's getting fined day after day. Now, both sides, it's so dumb. Because both sides are at fault. The Jets traded for a player that was in a contract dispute with the Eagles, and the Eagles didn't want to pay him. Now, they knew he was in a contract dispute. They knew it was a sticky situation, yet they still traded for him. And now they're playing hardball with this guy. And this is an all-in year for them. This is an all-in year for the Jets. This was like one of the last pieces to their defense that they were supposed to take them into good to great. And now you're playing hardball with a guy you just traded for. It just doesn't make sense.
Do you remember the details of the trade? I don't offhand.
No.
It's a conditional third rounder if he plays X amount of snaps, and it was basically a foregone conclusion that was going to happen.
But wait. It's the conditional third, but what is it if he doesn't play?
You know what? I got to get the full trade details.
They got to be lower, right? It has to be because if he plays, that means he's doing well, right? So what is it, like a 4th or a 5th? I'm guessing. Gotta be.
You know what? While you guys talk, I will tell you what it is.
And in that case, if he doesn't play, then they're gonna, they're gonna get a 4th round. Let's say if it is, but I do the research there. But the fact that you trade for a guy that's in a contract dispute. And the fact that, number one, it's supposed to be a kind of a nod and a wink when you do trade a player in a contract dispute, that you do give him the money. Here's why I blame the Jets more than Hassan Riddick, right? Because if you're going to trade for me, pay me. As a player,
have that deal,
every team does this. Hold on, Speed. I'm sorry. And I'll let you get to it. Every team does this. So for the Jets to just say, sure, we'll do this and not do it, I say shame on the Jets, man, and I get it. It's business. I get it. But it's wrong to do that to a player, in my opinion. But, Speed, what is the conditions of the –
So it was – no. All right, so it was a full third-round pick. It could become a second-round pick if the terms are met. If he plays whatever. Yeah. So they already got the third for him. So good on the Eagles because fuck them. They always get the best of these deals.
That's a good deal.
What people were saying is, wouldn't it be funny if they trade – a 5th round pick to get Reddick back, and
Imagine.
the Eagles get him back, and
I will hate
they
the
got
Eagles.
the third on top of it.
Yeah,
But
R0's cooking today.
yeah.
Shout out our brother
Yeah,
R0.
right. Yes.
Shout out R0.
But here's the thing, there's two parts to this, because there's another part in that the Jets said they would give him a reworked deal if he showed up and he started just almost like what's it called, hold in, and then said he was still going to practices, showing up, showing an effort, because this guy has literally not shown up to anything.
Right, I heard he
OTAs,
surpassed $1 million
nothing.
in fines.
Yeah, right. So if he showed up, they were gonna go good faith and make a new deal with him. I don't know how long that deal was. Was it a win for Hassan? I don't know. But so he's kind of playing chicken here too. He's playing hardball too, and they're both sides are playing hardball, and the Jets don't have to give him a contract. So it's a fuck situation, and it's getting worse. It's so bad, man.
But in that case, why? Like the optics just look. The Jets are jetting, I guess is the word. Shout out to I got John Silver in here. Yes. The Jets are jetting. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't look good to the eye. Like I get it. The only leverage the player has if they sit out for it, right? I do understand the Jets own his rights, but at that point, as a GM or as an owner, you want to pull that player to the side. Like, listen, man, I know you're upset. We're gonna work something out. Just come and show face. Kind of like what the Giants did with Saquon a little bit, right? He wasn't happy with his contract, but he was like, "Yo, show up. We're going to take care of you." And they took care of him. He didn't have that the franchise tag. They gave him the contract up front at some
right.
point.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Do it with Hassan Reddick. Hey, listen, man. Listen, I'm gonna give you XYZ for the year. You come in, you show face, you do your thing, and we're gonna work on that contract extension. Not, hey, you smack me, I'm gonna smack you harder. It's just gonna lead to freaking something. Like, what's wrong with the Jets, man?
It's gotta
get it together.
It's gotta be the worst part of being a GM is managing like. The guy wants this much. Like I gotta get him here, or else I can't put a fucking team on the field. Yes. And they just paid for that situation. They're like, here's some draft picks. We would like a drama-filled contract.
And listen to this. This is the other part to it that's really fucked up, is because the Jets have used first of all, they let Bryce Huff, who was one of the up-and-coming young pass rushers in the league, they just let him go to Philly. And they wanted Reddick to take his role. By the way, they just drafted 2 first-round edge rushers in Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson as well. So Reddick is the third big edge rusher in this mix in the first. None of it makes sense. They didn't have to go get this guy. They could have just kept Huff if you wanted the third guy, just allocated the money elsewhere. So the whole situation is just doesn't make any sense. And again, now the Jets are under fire, man, and this is a year.
Oh no, this is Salah's last year. This is Salah's last year. If Salah can't get it together, and listen, they have the roster. We've said this a couple years ago. They have people to get to the. You got Aaron freaking Rodgers back now. If you're not, I swear. If the Jets don't make it to at least the second round, like they need to fire everybody. Even the owner gotta go. Sell the freaking team at this point. Because if you got Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer, the defense that is stacked the way it is, and now your offense is coming together, seems like it might be clicking well. If you can't get out of the wild card, or if you can't get yourself a first round week bye, sell a team. Is it Woody Johnson? Sell a team. Woody. You raised your last Woody over there in the Jets. Get out of there.
I think now or never for them.
I think there's actually 3 teams with stacked rosters that could be moving off their head coach if this year goes south. Jets, as you mentioned, and I'm looking at Philly and Dallas, right? Because Philly went right down the shitter. They started off red fucking hot last year, like 10-1 or some shit.
Yeah,
and then they absolutely were awful. Down the stretch, they blew up. And
guys, can I make a bet with you real quick?
That. And then Dallas too. McCarthy. I think the coaches are actually holding those 2 teams back at this point.
Yes,
I agree. And let me make a bet with you. When they do decide to fire Rob Saleh, Mike Kafka would be the head coach. I'm putting my fantasy points on that one.
Oh shit,
Mike Kafka will be the head coach of the New York Jets.
That'd be a good move, man.
It's my prediction.
But again, where the Jets go from there? So say they lose in the first round, wild card, or don't make or miss the playoffs just by whatever. Aaron Rodgers is gone, right? You fire your coach. You don't have a good draft pick to get so you're right back at square one again. with a
Have
good
to be.
roster and no quarterback again.
What a
So
shame.
it's just it's going to be
No one can talk
so
about the Giants.
interesting. It's so interesting. And again, Joe Douglas, everybody praises Joe Douglas because he's got great rosters, right? Put this team together. But at the end of the day, results matter. And you have to do something at some point with these great rosters, or it's just wasted time.
You're wasting
So-
the prime of because like if you get
The
far,
Brees Halls, Garrett
you either-
Wilson. Yeah.
No, what's frustrating is that the Rams like clearly went all in on that Super Bowl. They traded all their first round picks. They did it, whatever. But they're already back, like as a good team.
I know.
Like because they drafted well and they have a good coach. Like they're already back. Like they're gonna be relevant this year.
Oh, God.
And it wasn't that long ago.
Great
Barnes.
coach.
Rob Sala's anyway. I can really
No.
Rob Saleh
Rob
sucks.
Saleh
I don't
stinks.
think
He's
he's a good
terrible.
coach.
He's
I
not.
He's a great
not.
defensive
He's not.
coordinator. He's a good Rob
Is
guy.
he really
You're
great?
not a good head coach.
Speed,
Dude, he
honestly,
looks-
His
Speed Hef.
defenses are good.
He looks
Speed Hef. Is he
uncomfortable.
really a good defensive coordinator, or was it the
Yes,
offense that damn good at San Francisco?
No, I think because he's done it with the Jets. Their defensive have been good.
No.
He does. He's responsible for good defenses,
Yes,
but that doesn't mean you're a head coach. It doesn't
That's
mean you can
right.
be
That's
because you
100%
are
right.
responsible for an offense too. At the end of the day,
Yes.
But I'm with you. There's no evidence that he looks uncomfortable on the sideline.
yes.
He does. He's always
man.
he's not like in intense situations. He's not talking to anybody. He's
Agreed.
not doing it. He's not coaching. Like I read body language like that all the time. It's like part of why I like Dable. That guy knows what he wants to happen. He
Sure.
knows exactly how it should look. And if it doesn't,
Yes.
he blows his fucking top and he's pissed off. Salah's like,
Right.
was that the play call? Was he supposed to throw it out
And
of
he
bounds?
doesn't know who's playing in the games, and like Aaron Rodgers is like, oh, he's like, that's news to me when he was told he wasn't playing in the first game. Like it doesn't. There's like no communication going on behind the building. There's there's behind the scenes. It's just a mess over there, and everybody's expecting them to go to the Super Bowl, but I was like, they haven't won shit. Their head coach hasn't won shit. Aaron Rodgers is a known, like, coming up short in the playoffs kind of guy. Is he like, who are these guys that have the experience on the Jets and maybe go 0-60 like Tampa Bay did with Tom Brady? But I don't know. It's going to be.
You know what? There's
I,
only one person that can figure this Jet situation out. So I'm gonna call this person out right now. The METHOD. Meth.
Ooh.
I know you're watching.
Yo,
Come
Meth,
join us on the show, Meth.
come tell us
I
about it.
know you're watching.
about it?
Let's talk about the Jets. You'll figure it out. We'll figure it out
Please.
together. Meth.
I wouldn't
you
mind getting Hoodie Johnson on here. We can talk to our friend
Oh,
Lee and see if we can get
let's
Hoodie
go.
Johnson on here too.
Yes.
But real quick,
too.
on the Jets, they have a very tough opener at San Fran, but then they might rip off 4 wins in a row. They got the Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Vikings.
Yeah,
Right.
that's 4
So
wins.
the Jets could be 4-1, and you're gonna think it's pie in the sky shit. Then you got the Bills, and it gets harder and shit like that. But they
Yeah.
could get off. They could get off to a very. Should they steal a win in San Fran somehow? They'll be
But-
cooking.
Yeah, but look at even so they got Buffalo,
Even the
then
Pats.
at Pitt. Yeah, at Pitt, then at the Pats. They could start off 7-2. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I'm
they
saying. They could have a real
very
nice
cushy
start.
schedule.
They're actually, in general, their schedule isn't terrible.
The end of it gets tough after the bye week. It's rough, but the first until Thanksgiving, they're gonna look really good, man.
Yep.
I
So
don't know. I think they're 2-2, man. Because I think it's division foe. The Pats gonna play them well.
they gotta
I
beat
don't
the
think they're
Pats
gonna
at some
beat-
point.
No.
Enough is enough.
I think
The
2-2.
Pats have.
Oh, I
owned
think
that.
they're gonna handle the Pats this year. I think they're
Yeah, I
gonna.
think 2-2, man. I
It'll
just
be
think
interesting with the other teams, though.
All right, friendly wager, first round, friendly
Hey.
wager. Let's do
Okay,
it.
friendly Lakers.
Yeah, man, let's do it. 726 people in the building. As we
Yes.
always
Holy.
go later, we always get more people in here to watch us. So we do appreciate
This was
you
fun
guys. If
today.
you're watching on X, go on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're gonna have some great guests in the season. Oh my goodness, the lineup is crazy. I'm back
Let's
on my
go.
BS of getting these
Let's
locking these.
go.
I'm back on it.
Get
back
on,
on it.
Get on.
So,
Get
guys, of
on it.
course, man, if you
Get
didn't know,
on
we
it.
had Joe Orrico here, man, the fantasy guru. Go back and replay that as well. Guys, man, of course, man, we got to wrap up the show here. We're about an
Yeah,
hour,
it's about
45
that
minutes
time.
here.
It was fun.
It's about that time. Can I get some of that music, that little mood music there?
Yes, set it.
I got you. DJ
Set it
Hefe's
to
on it. Can I tell you guys a fun fact while we get the music?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
I just put a new sketch on YouTube tonight. It's not football related, but I
yes.
recently booked a trip with my friends to Nashville. We're going to Nashville in October, end of October.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Nice.
And the flights were just so fucking outrageous.
Yeah,
it was like if you wanted to fly in the middle of the day, like business hours, it was like $800 to go to Nashville, which is like less than Florida. It's like not even that far. But it would be $200 if you wanted to fly in the middle of the night, like 2:45.
It's so dumb.
I'm in the middle of the night, baby.
And then they're charging you for every single thing along the way. So it's like either don't sleep and be a mess when you get there and have a couple $100 extra bucks, or fly conveniently and be poor. So
there's no.
I was like, there's a sketch here somewhere. So I put that on YouTube right before this show. If anyone wants to check that out, and I'll post it on Twitter tomorrow morning.
And we didn't talk about this. Another thing, shout out to U.S. in general. We're in the Olympics, fun Olympics. We didn't talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it again. But I had a great time watching the Olympics all summer long. I don't know about you guys. U.S. men's basketball team, awesome game against Serbia. Somehow came back, got the gold medal at the end of the day. We talked about Noah Lyles. We want to talk about him a little bit more and his bullshit, but he was good at the 100 meter, and just the lovely women, Gabby Thomas, Leslie McLaughlin, absolute. First of all, dimes.
I'm in love.
Gorgeous.
I don't care who knows.
And then they dominate on the track too.
She doesn't listen to me. It's okay,
dude. Yeah, right. She's in a fucking sleeping. But no, that was fun, man. That was fun, and I just love the Summer Olympics, man. They're fun times. To all that watched, I don't know. I thought
it sucks that we gotta wait every 4 years to actually.
I know.
I go all in, dude.
Oh man, I'm like sold on it. You know what I mean? I think there's more that comes on to it. Maybe the Winter Olympics and stuff like that you can get into, but nobody really watches that.
Dude, they spun off of the Red Zone.
I'm a big Olympic guy.
The Red Zone is like the best NFL like feature to watch, and they had the Gold Zone for the Olympics, and they was like who's winning a medal, who's doing what. Dude, I was all in on all of it, especially track and field. I love that stuff.
And look who comes in late, better late than never. Always, but she's always on time. Precious, we love her. She had a blast watching Olympics just like us. And 2028, we have it in the fucking States next time, bro. Next time they do this, it's gonna be.
Where's it at?
Regular LA.
LA, yes. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Oh,
the times are not going to be crazy. Well, the times are going to be, on par with us. It's going to be awesome to watch.
You know what? We might have to make it to one of those in LA.
It's probably cheap.
Hey, listen, Revival could pay for it.
We should. We're gonna have to.
Revival will be big enough. They'll pay for it.
You're gonna have to book flights now.
We need a couple more precious super chats to get us there, but
and of course we need word from our sponsors. Hef, man, do the plug, please. Do the plug.
Yeah, we'll be working the next Olympics for Revival, so we'll be there anyway. Don't worry.
U.S. needs a revival, right? U.S. needs a fucking revival. The whole country.
Big facts. But we have partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, so go ahead, download the Underdog Fantasy app, use code REVIVAL. They will match half your deposit. And we are running these fun best ball leagues. We fired off our draft tonight.
That was fun.
It was awesome. We're going to do another one tomorrow. And it's just a damn good time. Best ball. All you have to do is draft, and then you can sit back and relax. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna fire these off all the time. I'm doing one like every day.
I gotta hear your team. We gotta go through our teams and do a little
comparison of our rosters. We'll do that.
Who's got the best one?
But check us out on Twitter tomorrow. We'll share the link to sign up, which will have our code in there. But then we'll put a link for the new draft. Which we will open up, and you can start the draft as soon as it's filled up. So we'll just do 12-person leagues, and as soon as it fills and we draft, we'll just fire up another one. It's a good time.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be great, man. And of course, shout out to you, the 747 people that are watching right now. We do appreciate all the support. You guys are revivalists. That's what we call our people, our brothers, our sisters, the people, the revivalists. So thank you so much, man. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to head over to Spotify and iTunes. Hit that follow button, man. The numbers are doing incredible over there. So we do appreciate you guys and all the people, the Spotties that are listening there, and the Toonsies.
the potheads,
and the Toonsies listening right now over there, man. And of course, man, on behalf of my brother, I had to say it plural, almost said it singular. On behalf of my brothers, man, Mr. Glass Hat, full of that.
I love when he messes up. He's got to explain it, and he's got to tell you. He's got to tell you. He's like, on behalf of my brother. So what had happened was I was gonna. There's two brothers. I only identified one of them. I had to backtrack. I had to add an S before I could. Like, we know what happened. We saw it. It's okay. He just. When Eli has a mistake, he puts on the industrial spotlights on it, and he's gotta back up and walk you through it.
He's got to explain what happened.
Someone else will be like, he made a mistake there, and I'll be like, oh, I got a DM from the mistake.
Clarify. Let me clarify.
Yeah, right. So I gotta back it. Then
if someone DMs you made a mistake, just insta block them and move on with your life. You don't need that. You don't need that negativity in your life.
I'll be listening. I'll be looking at like, cop pizzle. Ugh.
Oh, that cop pizzle.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm doing this whole show. On behalf of my brother, Mr. Glass, half full of nets. Speed.
That's glass empty. That's a glass empty. I've emptied my cup right now. I've emptied my cup.
Friday.
And my brother El Jefe, aka White Jersey, aka Blue Jersey, aka El Jefe. That sound good. I thought that was good.
That felt right.
I bet you would do.
And of course, it's your boy Eli Rax, aka Vibes. We see you guys on the next one. Peace and blessings. Yes, sir.
New York Revival, I'm in the building.
Let's go.
Live with the Wolf High Bros!
Let's go.